Burkina Faso has shaken both corrupt African leadership and the Western-dominated global financial system with its recent historic achievement. In a bold and strategic move that challenges the norms of African economic dependence, Burkina Faso has repaid an unprecedented 3,000 billion FCFA, approximately $4.79 billion, in domestic debt since the start of 2024. This monumental announcement was made by Prime Minister Joachimson Kilem de Tambela during the 21st National Government Private Sector meeting held in Bobo Dioulasso on November 22, 2024. This step represents a significant leap forward in Burkina Faso's pursuit of financial independence and economic stability. The Prime Minister's office emphasised that this repayment is not just a financial milestone, but also a deliberate strategy to boost national economic activity and support local businesses. It demonstrates the government's commitment to economic sovereignty by prioritising domestic obligations over dependence on external creditors. Additional efforts are underway on the financial market to mobilise the resources necessary to settle the remaining domestic debt, Tambela stated, reaffirming Burkina Faso's resolve to address its financial challenges with resourcefulness and determination. As of June 2024, Burkina Faso's domestic debt had risen to 4,195.16 billion FCFA from 3,979.84 billion FCFA in December 2023, reflecting a 5.4% increase. Domestic debt now accounts for 57% of the country's total public debt, which stands at 7,354.54 billion FCFA. These figures highlight the heavy burden on the nation's finances, compounded by an ongoing security and humanitarian crisis caused by recurrent terrorist attacks. This volatile environment has strained public resources, forcing the government to turn to financial markets to fund its public investment programs. Despite these challenges, Burkina Faso's success in mobilizing funds from the regional market is noteworthy. Over recent years, the country has raised 2,083 billion FCFA, sometimes achieving investor coverage rates as high as 220%. This remarkable performance reflects strong investor confidence in Burkina Faso's ability to manage its finances and fulfill its commitments, even under difficult circumstances. The funds raised are being channeled into critical investments in infrastructure and basic services, essential for maintaining resilience and driving long-term development. By focusing on these foundational areas, Burkina Faso is laying the groundwork for a self-sustaining economy that can withstand external shocks. This approach stands in stark contrast to the debt-dependent strategies often imposed on African nations by international financial institutions like the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, IMF. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso's current leader, has emerged as a trailblazer on the African continent. His bold leadership and fearless decision-making have inspired Africans across the region as he takes concrete steps to challenge the exploitative global financial system. Traoré understands a fundamental truth. Western nations, particularly the United States, will never default on their debts because their debts are denominated in their own currencies, which they can print at will. In contrast, African countries are forced to repay debts in foreign currencies, primarily US dollars, creating a perpetual dependency on the West. This system is designed to maintain Africa's economic vulnerability. As critics have pointed out, institutions like the World Bank and IMF enforce policies that prioritize the production of export crops over food self-sufficiency. This ensures that African nations remain reliant on grain imports from the West. Should they deviate from this imposed economic order, they risk sanctions or even starvation, as the West can withhold vital food supplies. By controlling Africa's debt and trade policies, these institutions perpetuate a cycle of exploitation and underdevelopment. Captain Traoré's repayment of domestic debt is a revolutionary act of defiance against this exploitative system. By prioritizing local businesses and internal economic stability, Burkina Faso is actively rejecting the dependency model that has long stifled African progress. This move is not merely about economics. It is a declaration of sovereignty and self-determination. Traoré's vision is clear. Africa must break free from the chains of foreign debt and chart its own course toward economic freedom.